Hey, welcome everybody. In this video, we're gonna build a Next.js 15 blog which uses WordPress with GraphQL as a backend. We're gonna build this simple layout from scratch using Tailwind CSS, setting up the basic stuff like the font, colors, etc. Starting from the top, we'll build this header which has a couple of links to some of the pages that we're gonna create, and then the footer here at the bottom. If you look at the top here, you will see that we have a couple of pages. For example, if you go to About, this is what we're going to build, nothing fancy, but I'm going to show you how we can build them super quickly, and then will be a copy a page job for the contact page and so on. Going back to the home page, we'll build this About Us section, Heroes section, and Social Media section. Moving down, things are going to get a little bit harder, and we're gonna have to set up a WordPress website, which is gonna lead us to bring in some data from WordPress, like the categories. Now those categories are clickable, so if you click on Next.js, this will go to the blog page here and it's gonna filter through the posts, finding all the posts that have the word Next.js inside. Going back, we're gonna create the latest blog post, which is gonna have a search. So if I search for FTP, for example, again, this is gonna lead us to the blog page, and here is gonna show us all the posts that contain the word of FTP, and we're gonna have a fully working pagination that has next and previous. After this, we're gonna focus on the individual pages. So if I go back to blog and click on the first one here, we're gonna create the individual blog posts. I'm gonna show you how you can style them to make them look more presentable. I'm also going to show you how to set up the metadata, and I believe that's pretty much it. If you like the video, consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video. Hey, welcome everybody, and let's get started. Navigate to nextjs.org and copy the installation command from here. I'm gonna jump into a folder where I want to install my project, which is under my C drive, Ruddy, and then Next.js. So I'm gonna open the PowerShell here, left shift, right click, and open in terminal. And this is basically a shortcut to go to this C drive, Ruddy, and Next.js folder. That's pretty much it. And now we can paste the command npx create-next-app at latest and press enter. The app name is gonna be Next.js -wp and then GraphQL, and press enter. TypeScript, yes. ESLint, yes. Tailwind CSS, yes. Inside source directory, yes. App Router, yes. Tubepack, yes. Import alias, no. And we should be good to go. So now we need to cd to the project folder. Let's copy the name and do cd, and then the project folder name here, and press enter. Now that we're inside here, we can open the code base in Visual Studio Code by doing code dot or whatever editor you wish, and then we can run the project by doing npm run dev. That's pretty much it. And as of now, we're using Next.js 15.0.4 with Tubepack. Let's open this in the browser. I'm going to do control and click on it. So localhost with the port number of 3000. From here, let's go back to the project and open the public folder, and let's remove all of the icons that we don't need. Let's remove them. And then I'm going to add some icons that I've already prepared for my project. So I'm going to copy and paste them. And essentially these are 3 SVGs, one for GitHub, one for X, and one for YouTube. I'm also going to paste a few images that I'm going to be using for the background and the hero. The rest is kind of like a placeholder, and I have one for Open Graph, which needs updating. Saying this, let's close this, and let's go back to the project, and let's go to source, go to page, and let's remove everything that we don't need from here. Starting with the image, let's remove it, and then we need to remove everything inside the return statement here. So I'm going to grab pretty much everything inside here, and then I'm just going to create an empty div, which is going to say page, and save it. Now, if I go back to the browser, you should be able to see that we have page inside here and nothing else. That's all we want. And then if we close this, let's go back to the Explorer, click on global.css, and from here, let's remove the dark theme because I don't need this. And let's just add the background image in the body here. So I'm going to remove the background from here, and let's do background image, and this is going to be URL, and then the URL is going to be /background .wp, like so. And then I want this background to cover the entire page, so background -size, and this is going to be cover. I also want this background to never repeat, so background repeat, no repeat, like so. And then I also want the background to be fixed, so background attachment fixed, like so. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is the background position to be always at the top, and save. If you go back to the project, you should still be able to see your page here. and we have the background picture, which is great. Okay, we are pretty much done with the global.css, so let's close it. And let's go to the layout.tsx and let's change things up a little bit. I'm going to remove the local font because I want to replace it with one that comes from Google. And let's remove those two as well because we don't need them. And also we need to remove them here from the class name as well. We'll come back to this in a second. Let's import a font called Inter from Google Fonts. So import Inter from, and this is going to be next/font/Google, and that's it. Now this needs to be uppercase if it's underlined like mine was, and we need to create a const with small case Inter or whatever you wish to call it. And now we bring the uppercase name from here like so, and then we put subset to be Latin like so, and close. That's it. Now we can use our font by grabbing the const from here and inserting it into our body. So let's put this on one line here to make it look pretty. And then here where we have anti-alias, we can put $, curly brackets, inter.classname like so, and our font should be good to go. Save this, make sure that you check out your page, everything is working as you can see, and now we can focus on the layout. Essentially, all of our pages will be wrapped inside our HTML and then inside our body. So all of the pages will be rendered inside here, and I want to make a consistent layout throughout the whole website. So I'm going to create a div that's going to wrap the children. So div with the class name of max width, which is going to be a custom width of 780 pixels, and then padding is going to be 4 all around, and then on medium screens and above I'm going to set the padding to be 10. Then I want this layout to be in the middle of the page, so we can do MX, which is margin left and right, to alter like so, and then I'm just going to do a background like so, and this is going to be using the variable name from our CSS, which is -- background. That's it, which is white in this case as well. The last thing that I'm going to do is set minimum height to the screen. If you hover over, you'll see that this is 100 VH. If I close the div here, I'll make sure that we wrap the children like so. Let's indent it a little bit, save it. If you go back, you should be able to see that we have page and our layout is right in the middle here, which is all good. The next bit will be to create our header and a footer. So the header is going to live under the children here. So header, and then our footer is going to be below. Like so. If I save this, you should see header, page and footer. So all the content will be rendered in here, but the header and the footer will be kind of like static on all pages. Saying this, let's create the header first of all. So I'm going to go to Explorer, and where we have source, I want to create a new folder called component. And then inside here, I'm going to create a new component called header.tsx like so. Let's open this and let's start by inserting the link from Next.js. So import link from, and then this is going to be next/link like so. And now we can put export function. The function is going to be called header. And then inside here, we basically do return, and we can render whatever we like inside here with a div, or in fact, we can use the HTML5 element header like so. So we need to copy and close it. Now that we have our header in here, let's style it a little bit. So I'm going to have two sections, the logo on the left side and the menu on the right side. And to do this, we can give it a class name of flex, justify between, and then margin bottom of custom value of 66 pixels, and then content center like so. That should be fine. And then inside here, we're going to have two divs. The first div is going to be our logo. So let's give it a class name of font-bold. I'm not going to have a logo, I'm just going to write something, and then the text is going to be a little bit larger, so 2XL like so. And then let's just put a link here, link from Next.js href, and this is going to go to the homepage by doing just slash here, and then we can name our website LightQL like so, and save it. And now let's finish the navigation. For this, I'm going to use the nav tag, and then inside here, I'm going to create an unordered list, which is going to have a class name of flex and then gap of 4. Inside the unordered list, we're going to have to create a couple of lists. Let's create the first one, and this is going to be our first link, and this link is going to be our home link. So href, and this is going to go to slash for the home a link like so, and we can put home. Now we should be able to copy and paste this 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and I'm basically holding Alt Shift and pressing the down arrow button to duplicate these. The first one is going to be blog with small letters, sorry. The second one is going to be about. And then the last one is going to be contact. Save it, and now that our header is done, we can close it, we can go to the layout and we can import it inside here. So let's do import header, and then we import the header from @/component header like so, and we can grab it now and replace this one here with the real one like so. Save this. And if you go back, you should be able to see that we have our light QR logo here and we have our navigation. Let's do the same thing for the footer. It's going to be super basic. And in fact, we might as well copy the header here, copy, and then let's create a new component called footer.tsx. And then let's paste it inside here, paste the header component. Let's remove everything. Let's remove the link. We don't need that. And then this, the footer. And then let's change this here to be footer. And then we can give it a class name of text-center, margin top of 8. And I'm just going to put a paragraph here saying @copy for the copyright sign 2024, almost 2025 now, we might as well. And then ready. And we can do mid dot like so, and put built with Next.js. Save it. Let's close this. Let's close the header. Let's insert the footer inside here. So Alt Shift down, change this to footer. And now we can grab the footer and change it from here, just like so. Save it. And now we should be able to have our header here and our footer here, as you can see, which is great. The next bit will be to focus on the pages. So we already have our home page, and if you want to edit the home page, essentially you go to Explorer and your home page will be this one here. So you can change this to home and you'll be able to see that this changes to home. But if you want to create some of the other pages, we're going to have to do that manually. Okay, let's start basic to warm up, and this will lead us to the more complicated stuff in a minute. So the next page I'm going to do is the about page. So let's go back to the app here, and if I create a new folder called about, and then inside this folder is where we're going to create our page. So page.tsx like so. By the way, we don't need those fonts here as well, so I'm going to delete them. Let's go to the page.tsx here and focus on our about page, and essentially all we need to do is export default function and then page like so, and then we're just going to return a div or a section like so, and then this section is just gonna have about for now. So let's just do h1 about, save it, and if I go back to the project and if I click on the about, you should be able to see that we go to /about and we're getting the text from the page that we just created, which is about. Perfect. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so you can see, but essentially this is how easy it is to create a page. And I'm going to create a couple of paragraphs here. In fact, I'm just going to copy and paste them. So here where we have the h1, first of all, let's style it. I'm going to put text-xl and margin bottom of 4. This should make the text a little bit larger. And let's put a couple of paragraphs here that I've already created, and each paragraph is just having a class name of margin bottom 6. If I do view word wrap, you should be able to see them a little bit better. And in fact, if I save this, let's go back, you'll be able to see them inside here. And also I'm going to create another div inside here, another section. So div, and then this div is going to have the project specifications. h2 with a class name of text large and margin bottom of 4, and then this is going to say project specs. Save them, and now if I go down here, let's copy some of the project specs and paste them. Essentially what I've done is UL with a class name of list disk, list inside, and I just list 3 items here and save it. That's it. If I go to 100%, you should be able to see that we have a very basic about page, and if I go home, we have home, about. The same way we can do the contact page, and I'm not going to waste any more time on this, and I'm just going to copy and paste this one here. So let's copy the page from here. Let's go back to the Explorer, close this, save it, and then I'm going to create a new folder called contact. Inside the contact, we create a new file called page.tsx, and then we paste. Okay, let's change this a little bit. So I'm going to remove all this and let's have a look. So this is going to be contact. Save it. I'm going to copy and paste a paragraph with margin bottom 6 here, and let's test it first of all. If you go to contact, we should be able to see contact now with the paragraph. I'm just going to copy and paste some text in here because you'll probably change it anyway. This is just for the example. If I save it, what I've done is a wrapping div which has address, phone and email. It doesn't look great, but essentially if I save this, it's 3 columns. And we have address, phone and email. That's pretty much it, just so the page is not empty. Now that we have the home page, the about page and the contact page, now we can start focusing on the more interesting stuff, starting with the home page. Okay, to structure our project nice and tidy, I'm going to be creating components for every single section on the home page, which can also be reused on the other pages as well if you wish to. To do this, let's go back and let's open the home page here. So under source, app, and then page.tsx where we have home. That's our home page, and we can put this as a section instead if you wish to, and close it like so. Let's have a look inside here. The first thing that I'm gonna do is create a little bit of a hero for my website. Let's put hero here and save it. Okay, we have our hero, and now let's create the component. I'm gonna go back to my Explorer component and create a new one called hero.tsx. For the hero component, hopefully I can copy the header or the footer. Footer is a little bit better, I think. So let's copy the footer and paste it inside the hero here, and let's focus on it. This is going to be fairly simple. First of all, we need to rename this to hero, and then we need to remove all of this and just wrap everything inside a div. We're going to be using the image element from Next.js, so we might as well import it now. Image. And then this is going to be from next image. I'll show you how this works in a second. But essentially here where we have the div, we're going to give it a margin bottom of 4. So it pushes any other components a little bit at the bottom. And then I'm going to give it an h1. And this h1 is going to have a class name of font bold text 2XL margin bottom of 2. And then hi, I am ready, like so. Save it. And I'm also going to have a paragraph, so P. This paragraph is going to have a class name of margin bottom of 4, and I'm going to copy and paste the text because it's fairly long. So copy, paste, view, word wrap, and this essentially says, a freelance web developer and content creator, I make a wide variety of educational content with a primary focus on website development and design. The last thing that I'm going to do here is insert an image. So we're going to be using the image tag from Next.js, which gives us a lot of cool stuff, like you can put a placeholder, you can actually change the quality of the image directly from here, source, and then in the source is going to be =hero.png. Let me have a look whether this was PNG. 1 second. If I open public and then hero PNG, hero WebP. Okay, I've got it as WebP and PNG as well. We might as well do WebP because this is the optimized version, I think. And then I'm going to put the width to be 700. The height is going to be 192. The quality you can change to whatever you like. For example, you can put 70, and this will make the image a lot smaller than the original size, or you can remove it if you wish to. And then we can put blur, and then you can even put a placeholder. For example, by the time our images is loading, you can set it to blur, and you can give it a placeholder image, which I'm not sure what I've created, but essentially it's going to be blur data URL, and this is going to be equals hero-placeholder.png. And I believe that I created one, but I need to update it. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is set the loading for this image to be eager, because I don't want this image to lazy load. And then this is going to be eager, because if I don't put loading eager, the default is loading lazy, and I don't want that. And the last thing I'm going to do is put an alt tag, and I'm just going to put something like freelance web dev, like so, but you can always change it, and close the image, which is a self-closing tag, like so. Send this is looking good. Let's save it. Let's close it, and let's go back to our home page and let's import it. So here at the top, we can import it by doing import hero, and then this is going to be from add / component / hero like so, close it. We can grab the hero from here and replace it like so as a component. Save them. If you go back to the page, you'll be able to see the H tag here, the paragraph, and the nice image. The next bit would be to add some social icons. These are going to be very easy to do as well. So let's go back to components. Let's copy the hero here, copy, and let's create a new one called social icons. .tsx like so, and then let's paste the code from the hero and let's change it a little bit. So we're still going to need the image from Next.js, and we need to replace this to social icons. Let's remove everything from here and start clean. I'm just gonna create a div, and we need to grab the social icons. To make this a little bit easier for us, I'm gonna create an object which contains some of the icons so they're easy to manipulate. So let's do const social icons, and this is gonna be equals, and then the first one is gonna be name, and we're gonna have x. It's gonna have a URL, which is gonna be your URL, in this case HTTPS. Mine is gonna be something like /x.com/ruddy_dev, and then I'm gonna put comma and then image. This is gonna come from our public folder, which is essentially under, and then this is gonna be /x.svg, and we'll sort out the path in a second, but we also want alt tag, and this alt tag is gonna be something like x icon or like follow Ruddy on X, like that. And now we can copy this, put a comma, and insert a few more icons, for example GitHub, and then this is gonna say GitHub, and I believe my GitHub is Ruddy dev like so, and then the SVG is gonna be changed to GitHub follow Ruddy on GitHub like so. And you can add a lot more than this, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to copy this and minimize it, and we'll use this in a second to loop through the icons and display them. So let's start by styling this a little bit. I'm going to put a class name of margin bottom 4 flex, and then justify between, because I want to have a title on the left side and the icons on the right side. You'll see this in a second, but essentially let's give it a h2 here, and then this is going to be a class name of text-large, and I'm going to have social media like so. I'm going to create another div, which is going to be kind of like the second section where our icons are going to be. So let's create a div, and then this div is going to have the flex on and gap of 2 for every single icon inside here. We can grab the social icons now, and loop through them. To do this, we open curly brackets, put social icons, and we can do map, and then inside here we can put social icon like so, and then this is going to be equals open, and inside here we're going to create a link. So we're going to have a key for each item here. So this key is going to come from, you might as well put this as icon to make it easy, and then this key is going to be icon.name. The href is going to be icon.url. From here, URL, and then we'll continue. So we're going to have target, which is going to be equals underscore blank, so it opens in another tab, and then we're going to do rel equals no opener and no referrer. Add a class name or border, padding 1, and then rounded -md, and then hover can be scale to 100, and then transition can be set to duration of 3 in this case. So we have a little animation, and make sure that you close the link here, and then inside the link we're gonna insert an image. So the image we're gonna grab from here, image, and then we're gonna do the same thing basically by using icon from our array here. Let's use that. So we're gonna do image source, and then the source for this one is gonna be single slanted quotes / social icons, because this is where I've stored them, and then / curly bracket icon.image like so, and then we continue. We're gonna do the alt to be icon.alt The width is going to be set to 20, the height is going to be set to 20, and the loading is going to be set to eager for all of them. So they load straight away. And make sure that you close the image like so, and that's it. Save this, and all social icons should be done. So if you close this, if you close the hero, and if you go back to our home page, let's insert them by doing Alt Shift down the hero here, and we can put social icons, and then this is going to be from component social icons like so. Let's grab it and let's insert the component inside here, social icons, and self-close it. Save it, and the animation doesn't seem good, but these are things that can be always added on. Saying this section is also completed, and now I can focus on the interesting stuff. Okay, from now on, we will need to have a working WordPress website that we can use in order to develop our Next.js website. And for this today, I'm going to be using Cloudways in order to create a WordPress website and use it. And basically, for those of you that are not familiar with Cloudways, Cloudways is a managed hosting platform designed to make hosting fast, easy, and scalable. It is a little bit different to the normal hosting providers because Cloudways gives you the flexibility to choose whatever cloud provider that you wish. For example, if I click on products here, you will see that you will have the option to choose from some of the top tier providers like DigitalOcean, Voter, Linode, AWS, and Google Cloud. That said, it's very user-friendly. They do have a lot of security features and features that speed up your website. For example, Cloudflare, it's great for CDN and also security. They have safe updates, which is always great when it comes to WordPress websites, especially if you want to manage client websites. They have malware protection that you can add on top. And if you are a freelancer or an agency owner, you can use their client billing here, which is great, and they make everything super easy to do. For those of you that do not have a WordPress website, feel free to try them out. They do have a 3-day free trial, and you don't need to add your credit card. You can just try it out, and then if you don't like it, you can just stop it. I'll be grateful if you use my link in the description below. Saying this, I've already signed up and logged in, so I'm just going to go to the dashboard. If you wish to do the same, click on Get Started for free. From here, I'm going to go to the home page by clicking on the little house here on the top left corner, and we will need to create a new application. So from here, we can select flexible apps and click add flexible application. And now we need to select what application we want to deploy. So in this case, this is going to be a WordPress application. I'm going to call my Ruddy. The server is going to be Ruddy server. And then the project I've called mine Ruddy WP Headless, and that's it. From here, you can select the cloud provider that you wish. For example, DigitalOcean is great, Twofair, they're all great. I've used most of them and I've never really had a problem with any of them. Actually, I haven't used Google that much. But if you need a super fast one, I would go with Voter, purely because they have the high frequency. So if you hover over here, you'll see that Voter high frequency instances are powered by high clock speed CPUs and NVMe local storage to power your most demanding applications. So in this case, I'm going to go with Voter, and I'm going to go with 2 GB. And then this will also provide more locations for some of you that are interested. And normally I choose the location closer to me. So in this case, this would be Europe, London, like so. And then I should be good to go. The last thing that we need to do is to launch your application now. So let's click the button here. And as you can see here, if you refer a friend, you might be able to get $75, or usually they give you $50, which is always great, that you can use towards your server cost. Saying this, let's close this. And normally it takes approximately 30 minutes for your server and application to be created. So I'll just have to pause the video here and come back in a second. Okay, while this is happening, I'm just going to change the 5 icon here, and I'm going to change the title. So I'm going to go super quickly to the Explorer. Nothing important here, but I'm going to go to Source and right click, open in File Explorer. So go to Source and then App, and then I'm going to change this 5 icon to another one. So I'm going to replace it. I close this, and if I go to the home page here, so where is it? App, and then Page, Layout. Okay, yeah, go to layout, and then instead of create next app, let's change this to Next.js WordPress GraphQL. created by Ruddy. Save it, and that should be fine. We'll come back in a second. 2 more minutes. Okay, our server and the WordPress application is now created. And if you wish to have a look at some of the settings, you can go to server, click on here, and you can see your public IP. And from here, you'll be able to see some of your master credentials, such as the SSH credentials here. You have monitoring, you can manage your services. And from here, you'll be able to see some of your master credentials. If you wish to use SFTP or SSH, then you have your monitoring here, which is always great. You have your managed services that you can always restart if you need to. You have your settings and packages. You have some security options. You have your overview. You have your incident. You have your firewall. And also you have server backups here and SMTP if you wish to set up one as well. I think this is a paid feature, but let's go back and let's have a look at the applications. So this is going to be our WordPress application here. And if I click on it, from here, you'll see that you have a lot more options. For example, the important one for us is the URL. So they provide you with a URL that you can use straight away. Of course, for most of you, you might want to have your domain name and you can manage it from here. But have a look around. There are a lot of great stuff like monitoring. You have a staging management. You have your cron jobs. You have your backups and restores. You can deploy via Git and so much more. There is a lot. And there is also a migration tool if you wish to use that. Saying this, the thing that I'm interested at the moment is the URL here and the admin panel. So let's click on it. So let's open the website. Okay. And here is our website. It looks like it's using the latest 2025 theme, which really isn't important, but it looks like this is new. Anyways, let's log into our website at the backend. So we can do WP admin, paste it, and let's click remember me and log in. Make sure that you update everything. And then let's dismiss this and we should be good to go. For those of you that do not have any content, for example, we will need to have a couple of posts so we can display them and test the pagination. And also we will need to have a couple of categories. For the post, I will show you where you can get some demo posts. And for the categories, I'm just going to create a few super quickly and speed up the process. Instead of on categories, I'm just going to save this to other and change this to other like so. And now I'm just gonna go back to categories here and add a couple of categories super quickly and speed up the process. Okay, I've added a couple of categories. All you need to do is type them here and press enter and it will add them. Saying this, now we need to add some posts. For the posts, what I found is that if you go to the learn.wordpress.org/lesson-plan/how to add demo content in WordPress with dashes between the words, from here you can actually download an XML file that we can use. Here it is. I've already downloaded this XML file, but essentially this is going to create a couple of posts for us that we can use. And in order to import them, you can go to Tools and then Import. And then at the bottom here where we have WordPress, you can click Install Now and then Run Importer. Let's select, here it is, theme-preview.xml and upload the file. Let's select the username and then download and import file attachments and submit. We should have a couple of posts. So we have 8 posts, but we will need to have a couple of more posts. So I'm probably going to add a couple of more posts and speed up the process. All you need to do is add a new post, put a title and some text, and then just select a category. So we can go to posts, categories, and just put something like CSS and publish. That's all we need to do. Maybe we'll change some of the categories in as well. Okay, so we have a couple of articles in here and they all have categories. And I just put some random categories like PHP, WordPress, Server, React, Next.js. It doesn't really matter. As long as we have a couple of categories and posts, we should be good to go. In order to make connection with our Next.js application and our WordPress backend, we will need to install the official GraphQL plugin. So let's go to plugins and click add new plugin. And then from here, search for GraphQL. And this is the official one. So the one with the elephant here, install now, and then activate it. From here, let's click no, thank you. And then at the bottom of your sidebar here, you should see the GraphQL installed. The first thing that I will do is to go to settings super quickly and have a look around. So our endpoint in order to access the GraphQL will be under this URL. So your website name, which at the moment I'm just using the Cloudways generated URL, and then /GraphQL. You can also change this to whatever you like, but I'm going to keep it the default. So if I was to click on this link, you will see that we are getting request must include at least one of those parameters, query or query ID. So essentially, this already works, but we just need to pass some queries in order to bring the data that we need. So let's close this. And there are a lot of options here. For example, you can restrict your endpoint to authenticated users. You can enable batch queries. You can enable depth limiting, and there is a lot of options. One thing that I will do here is to enable the GraphQL debug mode, because this can be very useful. So let's enable it and save the changes. The next bit that we'll have a look at is the GraphQL IDE. So if you click on GraphQL IDE here, you'll see that they provide really cool and useful IDE that you can use to test and fetch some of the data. So for example, if I was to click here on the query composer, you'll be able to query all of these things here. For example, the categories, which we're going to do shortly. And then if I click on it, you'll see that you have a lot of options like after, before, first, last. You have a where clause where you can do, for example, order or order by. This can be very useful. And if you click on nodes here, you'll see that you can pull up stuff like the link, the name, the parent ID, the slug, the URI, and so much more. Saying this, I'm not going to be using the composer because it's going to take me ages to find things, but I'm just going to show you a very quick example in here of what we can do before we get started. Okay, before we jump into code, let's do a very simple query for our categories. We can name the query whatever we like. For example, get categories. And then inside here, and then now we can do the query. For example, categories. And then as you can see, this actually gives you some predictions. And then if I do categories first, and then you can set a number. For example, let's put the first 100 categories that we have. We don't have that many. So this is just going to display pretty much all of them. And then inside here, we can select what we want to display. For example, we can put nodes. And then let me remove this. And then for the nodes, we can start selecting the types of data that we want. For example, I want the ID, I want the name, I want the slug, I want the description, I want the description, I want the count, and then I want the parent ID like so, and that's it. Now, if you click run here, you should be able to see the data. This is how it's going to come back in Next.js as well. So we're going to get the data, categories, nodes, and then from here, as you can see, everything matches. So we're getting an ID, we're getting the name of CSS, the slug of CSS. The description is no, maybe I didn't need description. I definitely didn't need description, but anyways, count and parent ID, we also don't need. I think I've mistaken this, so we can remove them, restart this, and as you can see, we have everything that we need. All of the categories here. And we also have the debugger, which can be very useful from time to time, but that's it. And so now we can pretty much replicate this query inside our code. But before we do that, we need to set up our environment variable so we know which URL to access. First of all, like I showed you earlier, we need to set up this URL here in our project. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to Visual Studio Code, open it, and where we have source, just outside here in the main folder, I'm going to create our environment variable, so .env, and here is where we're going to store the WordPress URL. So let's do WordPress equals underscore URL, and then this is going to be equals your URL like so without the space in here. and that's it. Now that we have this, let's close it. And we also need to install a package called GraphQL request. Let me show you super quickly. I've got it open somewhere. So here it is. This is the npm package that we're going to install. As you can see, it has just over 4 million weekly downloads, so it's quite popular. And let's grab this and go to our server here. Let's stop it by doing Control and C and then Y to terminate it. And now I can do Control and L to clear it, and then npm I for install, and then right click to put GraphQL-request. Press enter. This will install the package, and now we can do npm run dev one more time to start our server. If we go back to our project and if you inspect your package, you should be able to see it inside here, GraphQL request, which is great. Now, in order to set this up, I can do it inside our query file. So what I'm thinking of doing is inside the source folder, I'm going to create another one, which is going to be called lib. And this folder is going to contain all types, safety types, and all queries. So I'm going to create a new file called queries.ts. And then I'm going to create one more file for all types.ts. We'll come back to types in a second, but let's start with the queries here. Let's set up our base URL. So I'm going to do const base URL equals process.env, and then this is going to be the WordPress underscore URL from our environment variables here. So you can copy it and paste it like so. That's it. So now that we have the base URL, this will be very easy to update. If you ever need to change your base URL, you can just go to your env and change it, and everything should work. We also need to import the GraphQL request that we just installed. So let's do import, and we need to do GQL from, and then this is going to be GraphQL request like so. And now we need to, and we also need the GraphQL client. So I'm going to put comma here and do GraphQL client like so as well. And that's it. And that's it. Now, in order to use this, we're going to set up a client. So const client, and this is going to be equals new GraphQL client from here. And then we're going to put the base URL in single slanted quotes by copying the base URL from here. So $, curly bracket, base URL, and then slash GraphQL like so, and save it. I think the next important bit will be to create the types and import them as well. So this is going to be a very simple one. If I close this and if I go back to my GraphQL IDE, you'll see that we only have ID, name, and slug. So let's create this super quickly. I'm going to go back into types, and then let's do export type, and then this is going to be category. So equals, and then inside here we're going to do ID, which is going to be a string. We're also going to have the name, which is going to be a string, and then let's see, name and slug. Okay, and we also have the slug, which is going to be a string. One more time, and I think that should be it for here. Let's save it, and now that we've exported this category, we can import it into our queries. So here at the top, we can do import category from, and then this needs to be changed to @/lib, and then types like so. And now we have our types inside here, and we can use them. Let's replicate the exact same query here that we've done inside code and see whether we can get some data. So I'm going to copy this, and let's create a new function. So export async, and then this is going to be function get categories, and then this is going to be promise, and then we're going to put the category types inside here like so, and that's it. And then from here we can do our query. So we're going to do const query, and then this is going to be equals GraphQL like so, and then in single slanted quotes we can paste our query inside here. So exactly the same query that we've done inside the browser, we can do. Let me just check it super quickly. So we have query get categories, that's fine. Categories first 100, and then we have the node, ID, name, and slug. I think that's fine. The last thing that we need to do is let's go down here, and let's do const data, And then this is going to be equals categories. Then we want to get the nodes. So basically when I run this, we have nodes. This is what we want to get. Let me do inside here, we can do nodes. And then this is going to have the types of category like so. And then we just equals this await client. From here, we use the client and then we do request. And then we request the query that we've added here like so. And now we just need to return this data. So we can do return data from here, and then this is going to be data.categories.nodes to go down the tree, and that's it. So this is going to be our first query. And now that we have the query here, let's go back to our home page. So this is going to be in the source app and then page.jsx. This is our home page here, and we're going to need to create our categories. So if I save this and if I go back to the website here, let me close this, we don't need it anymore. So we're going to have, probably need to refresh. So we're going to have the categories here. And before we do that, essentially what I want to do, because this is a server-side page, we're going to do the query here, and then we're going to pass the data into the categories component. So let's create the categories component super quickly. So under components, let's copy one of these, maybe social icons will be fine. Copy everything. Let's create a new one, and we can call this one categories.tsx like so. And then inside here, let's paste everything and let's clean it up. Let's remove all the divs from here and let's create a empty div for now. Let's make sure that we clean up this code as well. And I don't think that I'm going to have the image in here. So let's remove it. Basically, all we want is this. And we need to change this to categories. Like so. And that's it. From here, let's just type categories component. Save it and let's insert it into our home page. So in this case, if I go to home here, where we have the hero and the social icons, we can do another line. So Alt Shift down and do categories. And this is going to be components, categories like so. And now we can insert the component inside here like so. And hopefully, if I save it, we should be able to see categories components, which means that the data is now coming from categories here. We can close the types because we don't need them, and the queries will leave open for now. Go back to the home page here and let's make sure that we can grab the data from this query that we just created. So we need to import it inside here, and then we can pass the data inside categories. So import, and then we import the get categories. And then this is going to be from lib queries. So now I can grab get categories, and we'll need to convert this to a async function like so in order to be able to do the next bit. And we can do const categories equals, and then we do await get categories as a function like so, and that's it. Hopefully, if we get the data, we should be able to pass it to our component here. So we could do something like categories equals, and then in curly brackets, we can pass the categories like so. And this is screaming at us because type categories is not assignable to type. Okay, we'll fix this in a second. And if we go to this component of categories here, let's sort out the error. We can import our category types first of all. So import category, and then this is from lib types like so. I'm going to grab it, and here we can get the data now that we've passed of categories, and then we can put the types of categories and then category like so, and that's it. Hopefully this shouldn't be underlined anymore for you as well. We can use these categories to display the data. An easy way of doing this just to test would be to remove this and do something like JSON.stringify and then pass the categories inside here and save it. So now you should be able to see that we're getting exactly the same results as we have inside here. So we're getting the name of CSS, the slug of CSS, and so on. And every single item has a unique ID, which is great. All we need to do here is to style this, and that's it. That's how easy it was to grab some of the data. In order to style this, let's remove the JSON stringify and let's start from the top. So I'm going to create a class name here of margin bottom 8 just to push the other div at the bottom that we'll have later on. And then I'm going to create an unordered list, which is going to have the class name of text dash, and this is going to be a custom size of 0.7 rem. And then I'm going to set everything as uppercase and then flex, so we can give it a gap between each item of 2, which is 0.5 rem. And then I'm going to do flex wrap just in case there are too many items and I want them to wrap on another line. So wrap like so, and that's it. Inside here, we can loop for categories now. So I'm going to grab this. In curly brackets, we can put categories.map. And then from here, we can put category. And we can use the category type from here. So let's put it inside here. And then this is going to be an arrow function like so. And hopefully inside here, we'll be able to list everything. So in React, you know that every single item will need to have a unique key. And for this, I'm going to be using the ID from here. So let's do key equals, and then we're going to do category. We're grabbing it from here. You can change this to whatever you like. ID, like so. That's it. So this is going to have a unique list ID. And now we can give this a class name to make it a little bit better, to make it look a little bit better. So flex shrink of 0. And then inside the list, we're going to create a link from Next.js. So I'm going to press enter, and this should add this import link from Next.js. If you didn't add it for you, just make sure that you import it, and you should be good to go. So from here, let's create a link, which is going to be equals in single slanted quotes slash posts, and then question mark categories. And this is going to be equals, and then we're going to bring the category select, category dot select. So essentially, we're creating a link, and we're using the category select from here. And we're going to be using this link to go to the blog page and kind of like use it as a filter. So in this case, we actually named blog, so we might as well rename it here to blog, but you can rename the page if you wish to post, whatever suits your needs. And let's give it a class name of hover, and then underline, and then border, and then padding all around of 0.25 rem, and then rounded is going to be MD. Let me do wrap just so you can see a little bit better. But essentially, this is what we have. And then the last thing that we need to do is close the link, and inside the link, we can insert the name. So category dot name like so, and press enter. Save this, and now all components should be fully working. If I go back to the website, you will see that we're getting every single component here. And it's a shame that this word is a little bit longer than the rest, and it's kind of like breaking up a little bit early. But so essentially, if I hover over, you should be able to see the link here at the bottom left corner. So if I hover over CSS, you'll be able to see blog question mark with the parameter of categories equals CSS. Of course, if I click on it now, this is just gonna break because we haven't created the blog page just yet. But the idea is that later on, we're going to be using this parameter in order to create the data and filter it. This is going to be a lot more complicated than the one that we've done, but this was a good warm up. So if you go back to Visual Studio Code, let's go to our pages. So app, about, and contact, where we have, let's copy the about, for example, copy it, and let's create a new one. And this is going to be blog like so. And then inside here, we create a page.tsx. Let's paste the stuff that we copied from the about, and let's just remove all of this for now. In fact, let's just leave the heading here, and let's just call it blog for now. If I save this, and if I go back, hopefully if you press on blog, you should be able to see blog now, which is great. Now, what I've done in the previous tutorial where we used the API, I've actually created one single component which displays all the posts and the search bar, which can be also reused on the blog page. Let's start by building this component first of all and insert it into the page. So let's go back, let's close this, let's go to components, where are we at? here we go, components, and then maybe we can copy one of the components from here, maybe the footer, that would be fine. Copy it, let's create a new component, and we can call this one latest post. .tsx, and then inside here we paste the export function, and then we just need to rename it to latest post. And then let's rename this as well. So maybe this can be a div or a section, and then we can just put latest post like so for now, and that's it. Let's make sure that this latest post component is working by inserting into our home page now. So we can go to our page here, page tsx, and import it. Where we have categories, I can do Alt Shift down, and let's do latest post. And then this is going to be latest post like so. We can grab the component and insert it after the categories like so, and that's it. If I go back to the website, you should be able to see latest posts, and now we can start focusing on this. Okay, let's close the page. And I think that it might be a good idea to start with the top stuff. So for example, the title and maybe the search bar. I think this is going to be a good start. And also we might as well insert this same component on the blog page. So I can copy this. And if you go back to blog page, inside here, we can insert it. Whoops, at the top, I mean. So latest post, and then we just insert it here, and then we'll deal with this a little bit later on. Now we should be able to have latest post in here. And if we click on blog, we also have latest post in here. And this is going to be great for testing in a second. So I have zoomed in quite a bit just so you can see a little bit better. And I was thinking that we can now focus on the search bar and the latest post. So for this, I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this as well for now. And let's just focus on the latest post and the title and the search bar. What I'm thinking of doing is let's give everything a class name of margin bottom 8. I want to display the title on the left side and the search bar on the right side. To do this, we can create another div, and this div is going to have the class name of flex justify between. So inside here, if we have two elements, they will be on the left and the right. So the first one is going to be our title, for example. So we can put h2, and then this is going to be a class name of text XL, and then margin bottom of 4, and then for example, we can have latest post. We'll change this in a second, but also after this, we're going to have another div with our search, for example, search bar here. And now if I save this and go back, you'll be able to see that we have latest post and our search bar. Now there are a couple of things that we can do, and there is no good way of starting this, but let's build the search bar super quickly. So I'm going to copy this component, and let's go to components and create a new one. And this is going to be search-bar.tsx like so, and we can paste it. And we can paste this, and we can change this to search bar like so. Let's remove all the divs. And let's convert this into a client component, because we want to be able to type in the search bar stuff, and we want to be able to submit it to another page. So to convert it to client component, we just put single quotes, use client, and we're done. Now this is a client component. Also, I'm going to be importing the router. So when we submit the form on this search bar, we want to go to another page and pass the value from the input. So import, and then use router. And this is going to be from next router like so. Whoops, let's close this. In order to use the router, you can go here and do const router equals use router like so, and then I'll show you how we can use that in a second. Essentially, we'll need to create a form before we do the logic, and the form is going to be very basic. So form, open it and close it like so, and this form is going to have an input. So input, and then let's put it on another lines like so, close the input, and then let's do the type of text, the placeholder of search, and the class name is going to be border rounded MD, and then padding Y to be 1. We're also going to put padding to the x-axis of 2 and text small. That's it. And then the last thing that we need is the name. This is what's going to help us grab and pass the data, and the name you can call it whatever you like, but in this case I'm going to call it search. And also for the people that want to add a button, you can also do that. Mine is going to be buttonless, but if you want a button, you can create a button like so. And then this button can have the type of submit. You can have some class names to style if you wish, so border, rounded, MD, and padding to the 1, and padding to X2, text small. I don't know how this is going to look, but if you wish to add it, you can style it yourself. You can put search, and that's it. Let's comment this out because I don't really want the button. But now what we need to do is when we submit this form, we want to grab the value from this and put it in the URL. We're going to go to the form here and create a function on submit. So this function is going to be called handle search. And now we need to create it. And also the method is going to be post like so. And now we need to create the function. So function is going to be called handle search event, and then react.form event. And this is going to have the HTML form element like so. Close it. We can do event dot prevent default to prevent the default refreshing behavior from the form. And then to grab the search input value, we can do const search input equals event dot current target, and then dot element, and then dot named item. And then the item is going to be called search because we named the search. So let's do that. And then this is going to be as HTML inputs element like so. That's it. And the last thing that we need to do is when we press enter and we want to push the value from the input. So we're going to do router. Whoops. So we're going to do router from here dot push. And then we're going to push to the URL of blog question mark, and we're going to pass a parameter of search equals, and then the search parameter is going to be the search input dot value like so, and we'll test this right away. So that's it. Now that we have the search bar, let's go back to the latest post and make sure that we insert it in here. So we need to do import search bar from, and this is going to be add slash component slash search bar like so, and close it. Let's grab the search bar and let's replace it here. So search bar like so, and that's it. We probably don't even need the div, to be completely honest with you. But if I go back, next router was not mounted. Interesting. Let's go back and have a look. And this is because we need to use next navigation instead of router. Save it. Let's go back. And that's it. Now that we have our search bar here, we can search for FTP, for example. And if I press enter, the important bit here is that we have blog with the question mark and the parameter is search, and then we pass FTP. So this is the search phrase that we want to use in our query later on in order to filter through the post. This is great. Let's go back and let's have a look what we can do next. I'm going to close the search bar because this is finished, the latest post here. So I'm going to do import, and then this is going to be post, and now from @/lib/types. That's it. And now we should be able to use them. So if we go back to the Explorer here, and if we open the blog page and then here page.tsx, we're going to need the latest post, the page, the blog page, and the queries open, just so we can use them. From here, there are a couple of things that we're going to need. From this page, we'll want to pass the posts so we can render them in the latest post here. We're going to want to pass a custom title for this section. This is optional, but also we're going to need the search term, the categories that we've added so we can basically filter through them. And also we're going to have to create the pagination for this. So we'll need to pass that as well. Just so you understand super quickly, for example, when we search something, FTP for example, we have the search parameter here, which is FTP in this case. But if I go to home and if I click on CSS here, then we have another parameter of categories. So we want to be able to get them and use them in our query to filter the data. The other thing is that we need to be able to do the pagination somehow and obviously display the post. For this, we're going to go back to the query composer here, and I'm just going to show you super quickly. If you go to, let's minimize this, and if you search for posts here we go, posts, and from here you'll be able to see some of the stuff that we can use. For example, the page info is what I'm going to be using for the pagination. So this is going to be very helpful because it's going to tell us whether we have a next page or previous page, and if you click on it, and then this is obviously going to add it to the query here, but if you click on the has previous query, and if you see here, you see that this is Boolean. So I know that this is going to return true or false, and same with this one here, but for the end cursor, let's click on the end cursor super quickly, you should say that this is going to return a string somewhere. Here we go. Here we go, it returns a string. So you can read a little bit more about this. But essentially, this is what I'm going to be using for the pagination, and for the data that would be exactly the same as before. We're going to use the node here, and we can literally choose any of this data that we want to display, like the excerpt. You can choose the featured image if you wish to. You can choose the ID and so on. So let's do that. I'm not going to be doing anything else here. Let's close it and let's go back to the page. We might as well remove this block. We don't need it. And let's start here at the top, and let's super quickly go to the latest post. The important bit is that we have the post type. So if I click on it, just to show you, we have the types here, which are the ID, title, slug, date, and so on. Okay, from here, let's just remove the title from the block. We don't need this. And let's focus on the latest posts. So let's go here. And as you can see, we've already imported the post types. Or if I click on it, just so you can see, we have the export type post with the ID, title, slug, and so on. So now I'm going to create one for the latest post. So let's do type latest post props. And this is going to be equals posts. And then we grab the types from here. So we're going to do that. We're going to have an optional title. So title with a question mark. And then this is going to be a string. I'm going to show you how this is going to work. And then we're going to have the search term that's going to come from the URL. So this is going to be a string. We're also going to have the page info. And this page info is basically from WordPress here. You will be able to, if we go off the nodes and if we click on page info, this is what we're going to be using. So let's go here and let's do start cursor. This is going to be a string or null. End cursor, again, string, null, has next page. And this is going to be a Boolean. And then we're also going to have has previous page. And this is also a Boolean like so. And then the last thing that we're going to do is pass the category. Will come from the URL. So category, and this is going to be optional because it's not always going to be available. String like so. Now we can grab those post props, and from here we're going to have a couple of parameters like the title, like the post, the search term, the page info, and the category. And to add the props, we can do them after here, latest post props like so, and that's it. Now we need to pass some of this data, and we're going to start with the title, the search term, and the category. So what we can do, we're going to go back to the page. So this is the blog page, and this is a server-side render page. So we can do our queries here. We can grab the parameters from the URL and pass them to this component. So let's start by inserting the types for the search params. And just to show you, if you go to the Next.js documentation super quickly, if we search for search params version 15, that's correct. And I don't know where they are, but if you give me a second, I'm going to try to find them. And I think that's it. So these are the ones that I'll be using. Let me zoom in a little bit. So this is exactly what I'll be using. and I can copy these and paste them inside here. That looks correct. And then if we go back here, I can also copy the properties. So I'm going to copy them as well and paste them inside my function like so. That's it. As long as nothing is slotting up, everything should be all right. Between the return and this curly bracket is where we can start grabbing the data from the URL. So if I go back super quickly, and if I search for FTP one more time, press enter, you will see that we have blog, $search. So let's have a look at how we can grab this parameter that we get from the input. If we go here, basically we can now use those search parameters to grab the data. So let's do const search params equals await props dot search params. Now the wait is going to be underlined, and this is because our export the full function is not asynchronous. We need to put async here, and that should solve the problem. Technically speaking, now if you were to console log this, let's do console.log, and then we put the search parameters in here and save it. And if you go back to the browser and refresh this page, let's go back to the terminal here, and you should be able to see that we're getting search FTP. So this is how we can grab the parameters from the URL, and now we can use them to pass them to our component later on. We also need to make sure that this is a string. Const search term equals type of search params dot search equals string, and then if it's not a string, we can set the search params dot search to be empty like so. And now we need to do the same thing for the categories. When I go here and I click on a category, let's say CSS, we're getting the category. So we need to do exactly the same, and we should be able to just copy this, Alt Shift down, and let's change this to category. And then search param, search, this needs to be changed to categories. And then the param here needs to be changed to categories as well. If we were to console log this as well, the log category, save it, make sure that you go here and you have categories. And if you go to the command line, you should be able to see CSS. And if I was to click on HTML, for example, now we should be able to get HTML here. This is good. Remove the console log. And let's do two more for the pagination. So for the pagination, it's a little bit tricky, but essentially we're going to have two parameters, before and after. So let's do const before equals search params, and then this is going to be before, and then this is going to be as string or no, like so. And then we can copy this one more time, and this is going to be after. I can copy it and paste it here. That's it. And now essentially what I want to do, create one constant that we can input all the properties into and then spread them inside here. For example, we can do const latest post props equals, and then inside here we can start adding some of the properties like the categories. Category, yeah, from here, search term, so you'll put search term like so, and we'll do the rest later. But for now you can grab this and just spread it here in the component by doing ... latest properties, and we'll sort that later. We probably need to pass, so category is string, search term is string. It's missing the following type: post info. Yeah, okay. It's basically missing post and page info, which we'll add in a second. Okay, this query is gonna be a little bit long, but essentially now we're gonna have to create the query and then import it inside here. So get all posts. We might as well jump into query super quickly here, and where we have the get categories, let's copy this and let's just create another one. So we're gonna do it like this. So this is gonna be get all posts, and now we should be able to grab this and import it inside here. So import on the actual page. This is the blog page, by the way, and get all posts from, and then we're gonna do at lib and then queries like so. That's it. And this is gonna take a couple of parameters. So essentially, I mean, we'll first of all have to do the query, but what we'll need to do at the end, we'll need to be able to const grab the post and the page info. I'll show you in a sec, but posts, and it's a little bit difficult now that I'm doing this first because we don't have the function, but I'll show you how it works anyway. So post and page info is what we need to grab at the end of this query, and then we need to await it, and then we need to do get all posts, and then we need to pass the search term here so we can create the data, put the little where clause. We need to also grab the categories like so, and we need to grab the before and after from the search parameters so we can use it. That's what we need, and we'll come back to this in a second. So I'm going to save it. It's probably going to break the page, but it's not a big deal. And let's go to the queries and let's finish this. Make sure that you have your library types posts here. I've already imported them. I'm going to grab this in a second and use it. We're going to start with the stuff that we want to pass, like the search term, category, and the before and after. Let's go here and do search term, and this is going to be a string, and this is going to be equals empty if we don't get one. The same goes for the category, and this is going to be a string and empty one more time. And now for the before and after, we can do params before, and these are going to be optional. String, it's either going to be string or null, or we can do after optional, and then string null, or this is going to be equals an empty object like so. We need to add a promise here, and then this promise, let's close it like so, open it. We're going to do posts, and this is going to use the type of post like so, put comma instead, and then we're going to grab the page info. So page info, let me go down so you can see a little bit better. Start cursor, string, or this is going to be null. Let's copy this, and cursor, string or null, has next page, this is going to be boolean, and then we can copy this and put has previous page, and this is going to be boolean as well. The next thing that we need to do is make sure that we grab the search and trim it. Const has search term equals search term, and then this is going to be at search term dot trim if we do get one, or and we leave it empty. We need to do this as const like so, and we can do the same thing for the has category term. So has category term, and this is going to be category, and then this is going to be also category. The last one we're going to do is the is previous. Const, we're going to do is previous, and this is going to be equals, basically this is going to convert it to true or false. So params not before. That's it. And don't worry about this, this is going to be fixed in a second, but now it's going to get a little bit more difficult. What we're going to do is I'm going to split this into different sections. So this is going to be the definition of our query, and then we're going to have the where clause. So where clause, and you'll see how this works. So for the definition, let's do const variable definition equals per page, and this needs to be an integer. Then we're gonna do is previous question mark, and then before string or after string has search term question mark $ search. This is going to be a string, or if you don't have one, we leave it empty like so. And we need to do the same thing for the category term. So has category term, and then this is going to be category slug, and then string or empty. And by the way, you can view these in the editor here if you wish to mess around, if you want to understand it a little bit better. Okay, saying this, let's do filter boolean and then dot join, and we put comma. Perfect. Now we're gonna do the where clause, but we're gonna build it here because we can't provide an empty where condition. So we gotta check whether we have something and then add the where condition. Ooh, this needs to be changed to variable. Excuse me. a variable definition. That's it, just one letter. And then now we need to set up the where clause. So const where condition equals, and then the conditions here is going to be has search term, or does it have search term? And if it does, we're going to do search, and then we put the search value, or we leave it empty. Basically, that's it. And we can do this for the has category term, has category term. This is strange. I was gonna do them with capital letters, so we might as well change them. Sorry about that. I've done this multiple times now, and it's getting tired, I guess. And then this needs to be the same, so we're gonna do category name, and then this is gonna be the value, which is category slug or empty. Do we need anything else? We don't. I can remove this, and then we can do dot filter boolean, and that's it. Now the last thing that we need to do is to add the where clause. So we're gonna basically check whether we have anything in the where clause, and if we don't, we just leave it empty. So we're gonna do const where clause equals where conditions dot length is bigger than 0. So if it is bigger than 0, we put a check. So if it is, we'll do where, and this is the query, where condition dot join, and then we join everything with a comma, like so, or we leave it empty like so, and that's it. We don't add it, basically. So we're getting there now. So let's do the query. Const query equals GraphQL in single slanted quotes. We start doing the query. So query, just like before, and then get post. We put the variable definitions. That's fine. We're grabbing them from here, or you could insert them inside here directly if you wish to. And then we do posts. Is previous, which is going to help us with the pagination, question mark. So if we get last and then $ per page, and then first we get per page, comma, and copy this, and now this is going to be is previous before. If it is, we get before, and then if this is before, this needs to be after, and then this needs to be after as well, and then we put the where clause as well from here. And we also need to say what data we want to grab, just like before. Inside here we can do nodes, and then we can put the ID. So ID, title, exert, date, slug. For the categories we need to go one level deeper. So nodes, and then this is gonna be basically, should have put it like that. And then for the nodes we basically have name and slug, like so. After the categories and after the nodes here, we're also gonna grab the page info. So page info, let me tidy it up a little bit. And this is gonna have the start cursor, end cursor, has next page, and has previous page. Okay. Let's add some variables before we do the final query. So const variables, and we're gonna set this to any. This is gonna be equal to per page, and essentially we could have passed the per page from the top level if you want to modify it, but this will be fine for now, and then can always change it. And then we're going to do the spread operator is previous, and then we're going to do a check here. So I'm going to do question mark before, before, and then params before, and then after params after. I think that's it. And we also need to add the search term if we have it, if it's provided. So we need to add it to the variables. So let's do that. If has search term, we're gonna add it to the variables by doing variables dot search equals search term, like so. And we can also copy this and then modify it to be has category term, like so, and then variable, this is going to be category select, and then this is going to be category. That's it. And now finally we can do the query and kind of like make sure that the data comes to us a little bit more organized, I guess, easier to access as well. We'll do that in a second. So, but first of all, let's do const data, and then let's do post nodes, post, like so, and then page info, and then we're going to do start cursor. This is going to be a string, or it's going to be a null, and then end cursor is going to be a string, or it's going to be null, and we're going to have the has next page, and then this is going to be boolean, or we're going to have the has previous page, and this is going to be boolean as well. Okay, data, and now we need to do equals await, and then we'll wait for the client dot request, and then we put the query here, we glue everything and the variables, like so. Awesome. The first time I've done this, it didn't work, so that's why I had to re-record it and change quite a few bits. It's getting a little bit messy, but anyways, we are now there, so return. And to make it easy for us to access the data, I'm going to do posts, and then I'm going to go into data.posts.nodes, and then we're also going to have the page info, which is going to come from data.posts.page info. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is the search term and the search the search term. So search term, and this is going to be and it's going to be search term, and then we're going to have the category and category. We'll see how this works. I think this is looking good. I'm gonna tidy things up a little bit and we should be good to go. Okay, now that we have the query, and if we go to our blog page here, we've already imported the query. We're already passing the search categories, the before and after from our parameters here, which we grabbed them, and we're expecting to get the post and the page info. In this case, because we have created this latest post props and we inserted them into our component, we could grab those as well, like that, put comma, and now they should be also available inside here. Meaning that if we save this, and if you go to latest post, and let's grab the post, for example, let's go to under this div here, you can just make some space and let's do a div, and then I'm just gonna do JSON.stringify, we stringify the post, and then no, and then 2. Yep, that's it. Save it. And now, if everything went correctly, it did not. Okay, per page is not defined. Let me super quickly have a look. Not good. Let's go to the query. Per page. Yep. Unfortunately, we've got to be very careful how we put stuff. This needs to be capital letter. So now, if I go back, you will see that everything is working. We're getting the data here. And one thing that I wanted to show you, which is going to be very important, is let me go back to the component latest post. And I also want to display the page info here. So I'm going to do this and do page info. So have a look at this super quickly. We have, let me zoom in one more time. So we have the cursor. Where is it? So we have a start cursor, which gives us a value which we can use. And we have an end cursor here, which we can also use to navigate to the next page and so on. Also, we have this has next page, which is set to true, and we have this has previous page, which is set to false. So technically speaking, if I was to display previous button, I can use this to check whether we do want to display the previous button. So in this case, we don't want to display because it's false, there is no previous page. But we can display the next button because this is set to true, and so on. So this is how we're going to do the pagination. Saying this before we do the pagination, let's make sure that we style this super quickly and make sure that this is looking presentable. So I'm going to go back here. Let's remove all these. And before we do anything, actually, we need to check whether we have some posts. So here at the top, we're going to do if we get posts, question mark dot length. If this is equals 0, then we maybe want to return something like a div that's going to say no posts available. Okay, and that's it. Otherwise, we're gonna get the following here. Great. So if we go down here for the post, we can create a class name of flex col, and then margin bottom of 4. Inside here, we can map through the post by grabbing them. So post and then dot map, and then inside here we can say post, and then this is gonna have the type of post, an arrow function, open and close bracket, and now inside here we can create a link. Make sure that you insert the link here at the top from Next.js. And now maybe let's close the link super quickly. Key for each element, and this is going to be post ID. We're also going to have the href, which is going to lead us to slash single slanted quote slash block. We're going to add the slug. So this is going to be $ post.slug, like so. And then we're going to have the class name of border, bottom, padding y, for flex, justify between. And then we're going to have hover, which is going to be set to background dash slate of 500, like so. And then I think that's pretty much it. The other thing that we need inside here is to display the title and the date. In order to do this, I'm going to create a div that is dangerously set in the HTML, like so. And then inside here, we're going to do double curly brackets and underscore HTML. And then we basically grab the post dot title because I want the title to be displayed with all the necessary characters. Otherwise, it might break and look ugly pretty much. We need to close this div. And then the last thing here is the date. So we're going to do a new date. We're going to do new date. We're going to grab the post.date, and then I'm going to change it to local date string, and I'm going to put it as German because it looks pretty nice. So I'm going to do DE and DE. We need to close this. That's it. Make sure that you tidy things up here, and let's see whether this works. Awesome. So if I zoom out, you will see that we're getting the post here, which is great. And for some reason, the cover is pretty bad. So let me just fix this super quickly. I believe that I want it to be 50 instead of 500, and that should be a lot lighter color. Okay, so this is all working. Finally, let's add our pagination. This is going to be a tough one. Let's make some space and we'll add it around here. Okay, so for the pagination, we can do div with the class name of flex and then justify between. So both elements are kind of like separate. I'm going to create divs regardless whether we have any information. For example, if the previous link doesn't exist, I want this to still take the space because I don't want the next button to go to the left side, if that makes sense. And then we're going to do basically one more div later on here for the next button. For the previous button, before we actually display any of this, we could do a check. So we could do page info, and then we can do question mark and then has previous page, and then or if page info has next page, then we can display something. So I'm going to do question mark, and then inside here, I'm going to open this and wrap everything. But if it doesn't, we're going to display a div like so. Whoops. And then inside this div, we're going to have the text center. So text center, and then we're going to have a link. And this link is going to be href, and it's going to lead us to slash blog. And it's going to have a class name of hover underline text dash gray 900. py is going to be pet block, and then rounded md, like that. And then this is basically just going to say view more posts. Think that might work, we'll see. Okay, it's not here, which is good. So now we need to check and see whether we can display the previous link and then render it. So let's do page info dot has previous page, and then and we're gonna do link inside here. So link, make sure you open and close it like so. And then this link is gonna have a couple of bits, like href is gonna be in double quotes because I'm gonna kind of like add the query to it. So we're gonna do path name, and then this is gonna be set to /blog, add a query to it, so query, and this is gonna be before page info and then dot start cursor, and then we're gonna spread this to search term or category because we want the pagination to work on both, and we're gonna do search term and we are gonna add the category. Okay, so if we save this, everything is working. We do not have the previous link, which is correct. So now we should be able to do the same, but oh wait, we need to say previous here. Let's have a look. Okay, we don't have it. That's good. Let me right click and format this document. And I believe that if I copy this div, the full div, and if I replace this one here, let's see what we need to change. Page info, we need to change this to has next page. That's fine. Then path name is still blog. The query here is going to be page info dot end cursor. And then search term category, that's fine. Search term category, that's fine. And instead previous, this is going to be next. And you can add nice icons here if you wish to. We didn't change this to after. Okay, so this needs to be after, very important, and this needs to be before. So now if I save this and if I reset, let's go to the blog page here, and we have the next button. I click on it and we have the previous button. I click on it, which is great. So pagination is now working, but if I search for something, let's say FTP, we have no posts available. Maybe I can search for something else. So elements, and as you can see, this comes up and we do not, and this is a little bit broken, I think. So maybe we can remove this because that might not work. So I think this was, yeah, let's remove this. I don't think that we're gonna need it. Then let's have a look super quickly. If we do and if we close this, is this gonna work? Yep. Save it, and now let's go back, and we don't have it. Anyways, this seems to work. If I go to blog, everything seems to work. Pagination seems to work. That's fine. The thing that we need to do now is the homepage. If I go to it, it'll probably break because we're not passing any data. So what we need to do on the homepage is going to be very simple, but essentially we go to the app and then page.jsx. We can insert the query, for example, where we have queries. We can do get all posts, and then we can do exactly the same thing as here. So I'm going to do get all posts instead, and I'm going to do posts. We need to do it this way, and now we can basically do posts, and then we put the post inside here, and this is screaming at me. Let me have a look. Post is missing the following properties: latest, post props, search term, and page info. Well, the search term and page info should be optional. So if I go here, so let's do search term and page info as optional. Now this should be gone. Here we go. And if I go back to my homepage, we should be able to see all the blog posts here. And what I was thinking of adding is to the main page here is to basically do the link here instead. So essentially we're just going to do a div, and then this div is going to have the class name of text-center. And then if we do a link, make sure that you have link at the top here, and then we can do href, and then in single slanted quotes we're going to do /blog, class name of hover underline and text-gray of 900, padding to the y-axis of 5, block, then rounded -md, and close this. We can do view more posts and save it. So now, Okay, we're doing well now. And if I go to view more posts, we go to the block here, we go next, and the button is missing. And I believe that this is because if I go to the blog page, sorry about that, it's one of them things that, sorry, it's going to be the latest post. If I go here where the pagination is, obviously I'm now checking if we have the has previous page and has next page, and at the moment we don't. So this is why they don't display. And what we can do, this is because I changed this, but what we can do is basically remove, I believe. And let's have a look at what we have now. So why is this screaming? Yeah, page info is possibly undefined. We could put a question mark, and for this one we could put also a question mark. Right click, format it, and let's have a look now. Okay, we are now getting previous and we are now getting next. And if I go to home, we should be able to see all of the blog posts here. That's great. And if I search for FTP or element, this should go to element. And now we need to create the next page, which is the single blog post. The next challenge is to do the individual blog post pages. And to do this, we've already set up the link to go to blog and then slash using the slug. If you can see here at the bottom left corner when I hover over the links. So let's do that. We've already have the blog page. And now if you go back to the Visual Studio Code, here where we have blog, we can open this and create a new folder with brackets like that and put slug, because we're going to be using the slug in order to grab the data and show the blog post. Inside here, we need to create a page. So let's do page.tsx and save it. Maybe we can copy the contact from here and paste it. And let me just remove pretty much everything that we don't need. So I'm just going to put a div, let's say blog post page for now, save it, let's go back and let's click on one of them. I'm going to click on the first one and we get blog post page. Now we can use this to create or query and query the database using the slug. In order to do that, let's go back to the Explorer, click on queries, and then here at the bottom, we're going to create a new one. So this one is going to be called get post by slug. Let's do export async function. And then this is going to be get post by slug. Pass the slug. The slug is going to be a string. And then this is going to be a promise. We're going to have the post type, or it's going to be null. Whoops. And then inside here, we can do a query, but before we do that, make sure you spell everything correctly. But now let's do the query super quickly. Const query equals GraphQL, and in single slanted quotes, we can do the query inside here, starting with query. And then we can name it get post by slug like so. And then we're gonna get the slug, which is gonna be ID. And then inside here, we can basically do post. We want to query the post ID by doing the slug, and then ID type needs to be set to slug like so. And after that, we need to choose the data that we want to bring, like the ID, the title, the content, the date, the author. And then to grab the author, you need to go to node and then name. Let me do that. We also need the categories, and this is going to be the same node. And then no, this needs to be author needs to be node. Be careful here, but category needs to be nodes because they're multiple. So then we have name, and then we also have tags. I don't know if I'm going to use the tags, but they're going to be available to you anyway. So nodes and then name. So tags is also plural here with S, just so you know. And the last thing that we need to do is add the variable, add the slug as a variable. So I'm going to do const variables equals, and then we grab the slug like so. And now we can do const data equals, and then post, is this correct? Slug like so, and then this is going to be const data post equals await client.request, and then we put the query inside here, and then we put the variables like so. And this is lighting up because this needs to be column instead, like that. And then we just need to return the data.post. Okay, and that should be it. Now let's grab the name of this query and let's import it into our newly created page here, so we can do it above everything else. So import in curly brackets get post by slug from, and then this is going to be at lib queries like so. And now we should be able to use this. Okay, let's set up the function here. First of all, this needs to be async before anything, function page, and then inside here we can insert params, and now we can do column, and now we can do column here and do another curly bracket, and then we can do params, promise, and then this is going to be slug, which is going to be a string like so. Make sure that you close it, everything is looking good. Now we can do const post equals get post by slug, and inside here we can do await, and we can grab the params, and the param that we want is the slug. That's it. Do we need a wait here? We probably do. Await, that's better. And we can say if we don't get the post, maybe we can just return a div that says post not found. Save. Okay, I think that should be okay. Make sure that your page is working here, everything is looking good so far. And the first test that you might want to do before you try anything else is to grab this and to JSON stringify. So JSON or stringify, and then or console log it, and then post null, and then 2. Save this, make sure that everything is working. I don't think that this post has much content inside here, so maybe I can go back and click on one of the other ones. Element should have a lot more, as you can see. So we get in the data, which is great, and now we can style it a little bit to make it look more presentable. So in order to do this, let's remove this. We don't need it. And let's start here inside the div. I'm going to insert an h1. So this is going to be our title. So let's do h1. And this is going to have the class name of font bold text -2xl. Margin bottom is going to be 4. And this is going to be one of them dangerous h1s. Dangerous set in a HTML. And then inside double curly brackets, we're going to do __ HTML. And then we put the post.title from the WordPress. And if we save it and we go back, we have elements. This is the actual title. We can do the same for the rest. So let's sort out the date. We can do a div for this, and this div is going to say published on. I'm going to put B, and then I'm going to grab the date. For the date, let's format it a little bit. So what we can do around here, we can put const formatted date equals new date, and then post.date like so. And now we can do const date equals formatted date, and then to locale string. And then from here we can set enus, and we can set some of the parameters. For example, the month can be set to long. The day can be set to numeric. And then the year can be set to numeric as well. And that should make our data a little bit more presentable. Let's grab the date from here now, and let's push it inside here. And then after the B, we can do by, and we can do post.order. We might as well put question marks, and then node question mark name. Okay, that should be fine. Let's save it. And now, as you can see, publish on September the 5th, 2008 for some reason. And then this is ready. So I think this XML file was just a little bit old. This was when it was created, I guess. The rest of the stuff, we also need the article. So let's do that. I'm going to do div with the class name of article, and I'll tell you why in a second. And if we close this div, let's add it as a dangerous one. So dangerously set in a HTML. And then inside here, whoops, we can do underscore HTML post, and then the post is going to be question mark content, like so. Perfect. That needs to be a self-closing tag, so let's remove this div. Let's have a look. So article, yep, we have everything here, and it's quite well presented so far actually. And the reason that I added this article here is because obviously you're not gonna have your styles from your WordPress website, and this is kind of like a good opportunity to style the website the way you want. So what you can do inside your styles, let's see where we have global.css. Inside your styles, you can kind of like say, well, everything inside the article I want to style. For example, the paragraph, maybe for the paragraph you want to do, I don't know, margin bottom to be 20 pixels, just as an example here. And as you can see, this pushes everything. And you can do this with Tailwind CSS as well, or you can just do it with normal CSS. But let me show you what I've done super quickly. I generated an example here. It's not great, but essentially I'm going to paste some styles, and let me show you from the top. So these are very basic styles like H1, H2, and I'm basically applying Tailwind CSS classes inside here, as you can see, paragraph, links, hover, block quote, figure, and so on. So you can basically add as many as you want, and when you save them, as you can see, it's way more presentable than before. It's actually looking pretty cool. Of course, there is a lot more styles that you'll probably need to style, like this input here will need styling, the radio buttons, the buttons, and so on. Even the table, it's looking okay-ish here. But yeah, this is how it's gonna work. One more thing that I wanted to show you is how we can change the metadata on a specific blog post, and you can add these to pretty much any page that you wish in order to make your pages SEO friendly. If we go to this first blog here on how to build a headless WordPress blog, and if you have a look at the title here at the top, you will see that it's still using the website title of Next.js WordPress GraphQL. And for example, the easiest thing that we can do is to use this title here. To do this, if we go back to the official documentation, and if you search for generate metadata under the latest version of Next.js, which is 15.1.2 here, and if you have a look, they have a lot of examples, but essentially this is kind of like a manual example where you can just add it and write the title yourself. But in this case, because we have dynamic data, we need to do it in a slightly different way. And if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see here that we have the generate metadata function. If I zoom in even more super quickly, you see dynamic metadata depends on dynamic information such as current route parameters, external data, or metadata in parent segments can be set by exporting a generate metadata function that returns metadata object. So this is what we need to use. I'm going to copy the import and the type from here. So let's copy those two to start with. And if you go back to the project, open the Explorer, navigate to source, app, and then blog, slug, and then page.tsx. Open this, and inside here where we have the page, let's make some space between them, and I'm gonna import the metadata and the resolving metadata from Next. I'm gonna put this at the top here, and in fact I'm gonna put it at the top here like so. And then we have the props. So for the props, we're gonna have the params promise. Instead of ID, we're gonna be using the slug, just like we have inside here. So I'm gonna change this to slug, and the slug is gonna be a string. The next thing that we need is the generate metadata function here. So I'm gonna grab the whole thing, copy, paste here, and they give you a little example here, but essentially we've already done the hard work. So if we were to remove all the fetching data and stuff like that, let's remove all of this, then we're going to be left with the previous image of open graph and then the return statement. The thing that I'm going to do now is we're going to be using the get post by slug function that we've already used inside here. So essentially we could just copy this and paste it inside here like so, and now we'll be able to grab the post data, the title, description, and so on. And now we could grab the post from here and then replace the product.title to be post.title instead. And if this is highlighted, we could put a question mark. And the last thing that I'm going to do here is change the open graph image I've already prepared one from the previous tutorial, I believe. So if I go to public, reveal in the Explorer, and if you go to public, you'll see that I have this open graph image here, which is 1200 pixels by 630 pixels. And this is actually from the old tutorial, so I'll have to update the image. But regardless, if we go back and if we update this to open graph as an example, .jpg, now we should be able to see the title change and we should be able to see an open graph image. And just like this, you can stack more, for example, the description and whatever there is available. You can go to the official documentation and I'm sure that you'll find them. So for example, description, here it is. This is how you add a description, and then you put your description, and this is what it outputs in the browser, like so. And generator, yeah, there is a lot you can use. Have a look around, but this is going to be a quick example here. So let's save this. Let's tidy things up super quickly, and if I go back to the page, you will see that my title already changed to how to build a headless WordPress here. So if I was to click on pretty much any blog post, we should be able to get the dynamic data. So let's say Next.js 14 AWS S3 file upload. Let's click on this. You will see that the title changes and so on. But you can do the same thing on all pages and have SEO friendly website. The last thing that I'm going to do is the 404 page, and I'm going to keep it simple. So inside the Explorer source app, let's create a new file called, inside here, let's create a new file called not-found.tsx. And then we can just paste a very basic export default async function with the div and 404. You can style this obviously however you want, and it's breaking up my stuff. So let's stop this and restart it, and hopefully that'll fix it. Yeah, that was a little bit strange, and it seems to work now. Let's go here. Yep. Let's go to a worth 1,000 words. Perfect. So we've got even an image here, and that's pretty much it. If I was to change the URL from the .env file, so if I was to go here and change the env to my website, which is also set up to have GraphQL at the moment, but I'll probably remove after this. So I can do ruddy.dev, and hopefully that should all work as before. Everything has come up from my WordPress website, all of those tags, which is great, and all of those posts that are now on my blog, which is good. So essentially now if I was to click on this one, you will see that we're getting the title, we're getting absolutely everything that we need, and that's pretty much it. If I was to search for FTP now, we'll have a lot more articles now, and we can click next, and we can click previous, and so on. Obviously there is a lot more that you can do with this, but as you can see, it's a lot of work. Before finishing the video last night, one thing that I didn't do is to actually build the project and test it. So if you were to open the command line here, and if we do npm run build, this should build our project. But this morning I noticed that there are a couple of tiny mistakes that I made and it's failing. So these are actually super easy to fix, and it's only going to take a minute to do. So under the about, I basically used the single quote, which is not good. We can either escape it like this, or you can put a slanted one. So for example, let's copy this one and let's go to about page. So app about page.tsx, and from here, if we do viewer wrap, we need to find the single quote here and replace it with this instead, or you can just put a single quote and that would also do the job. And we need to do the same thing in the contact. So if we go here, we need to replace those two out, and then this one here, and save it. That should fix the problem. Let's have a look at the next one. So we, at the latest post, we have two mistakes. We have this on line 4, we have this before mistake, and then we have error title is defined but never used. That's correct. So let's go to the latest post. And if I go to component, latest post, and open this, you will see that I have this random before thing. And I believe that this is when I was typing some of the code and press enter, this was added automatically and I didn't realize. So we need to remove this. And the other mistake was that we have the title here, but it was never used. So if you're not going to use it, I guess lose it, like so, and that's it, problem fixed. Let's tidy things up. And the last mistake here was that in our queries, we have unexpected any. Specify a different type. So we can definitely specify the type for this. I think if we go back to the Explorer lib queries, from here, if we go to the bottom of line 89 around here, first of all, I spelled this incorrectly. This needs to be with a variables, so I can replace them super quickly. And it needs to be replaced here as well, where we have the query. One problem solved. And now it doesn't like this. Essentially, we could create another type interface, and we can call it variables. And then inside here, we can put the per page. And this is going to be a number. We have before. This is optional, and this is going to be string or null. We have after, which can be exactly the same actually, so I'm going to do this. And then we have search, also optional, and this is going to be a string. And the last thing that we have is the category slug, which can be also optional, string like so. And now we can grab this and put it inside here. And in fact, you can even move this to another file where our types are, and then save this. Hopefully this should be all of the issues here solved. And now if I clear this by doing Control and L, and then let's do npm, and let's just press the up arrow, and this is going to do npm run build. Hopefully the project will build now and we can start it. As you can see, the project was built successfully, and now we can run it by doing npm run start. And this should open it in localhost of 3000. So if I click on it super quickly, you will see the project here fully working. I can go to a post, and we might as well test let's test the speed super quickly. So I'm gonna go to a private window, so my extensions don't interfere with the speed. But if I do right click, inspect, and maybe let's go to Lighthouse here and just do the analyze page load. I actually haven't tested this. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay, as you can see, this is all 100% performance, accessibility, best practices, and SEO. I'm sure that there are a lot of more things that can be done better, but this is not too bad. Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing and liking this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.